Miss Liz's Tea Times. It's evening tea. That's right, evening tea. I am joined today with Annette Chiappee, who is, let me get it. I will get her bio and read you how incredible this woman is. Annette is a human whisperer, a person who holds space, listening lovingly without judgment and completely present for others. An artist, author, and an inspirational speaker and mentor. She provides private and confidential one-on-one sessions for those struggling with trauma, depression, and anxiety. She has published several inspiring mindfulness adult coloring books that the series Love, Kindness, and Compassion. She uses these books as a creative tool for self-therapy art session. As an inspirational speaker, she talks about how she awoke from her pain, made a life-altering decision to change, learn to love herself, and managing life with PTSD. From her transformation, she developed Learn to Love Myself and a mental health break, artwork by Annette Chiappee. Today, through her practices as a human whisperer, artist, and speaker, she helps others heal into her authentic self. Her principles, love, kindness, and compassion, are incorporated into everything she does. Some of her spiritual teachings are self-awareness, char, char, chakra,
Chakra.
and chakra energy, dance, and self-therapy art sessions. Annette loves nature and carries on her services in a beautiful surrounding by a creek in a greenhouse. Annette's sole purpose is to love and be of service to others so they may love and heal themselves and reach their full potential. She is dedicated to being a positive example to humanity, one soul at a time. We can raise the positive vibration of the planet. So I will bring Annette on so she can share a little bit on how she
Chiappee.
Chappie. Oh, sorry. So Annette Chappee. I have trouble with some of those letters. Sometimes they. But Annette Chappie will join us in the studio and share her amazing journey on how she got to where she is today. Hi, Annette. You're able to speak. Able
Hi,
to
Liz.
share it anytime. Hi, dear.
Well, to tell a little bit about my story, I grew up not knowing myself, basically. I had a family, a very dysfunctional family, and what I got stuck on, I guess, what came out of my therapy was I was to be seen and not heard. And I learned later in life that's a very common thing from our time of growing up. And I guess you need a little bit of background about myself and what kind of traumas I had that got me to where I was creating coloring books. I am a survivor of incest, sexual abuse from a bad marriage, just a whole bunch of other traumas. I was separated from my children for 19 years. I was in a very dysfunctional business relationship with a sociopath, and I had a lot of misunderstandings about human nature because I had no knowledge of, from my parents not teaching me how to uh, be present and love other people. So there was alcoholism in my family. There was a lot of codependency in my family, and my brother at a later age got diagnosed with schizophrenia. So with all these complications in my family, I became quite the victim and tried to survive my entire life not knowing I had these traumas. So I thought this was normal life. As I progressed through my marriage, the loss of my family, I got out of the bad business relationship. In 2010, I basically hit my first breakthrough kind of thing where I had to make a decision to take care of myself. And I left this business partnership of 14 years. And what happened was I decided finally to let go of the fear, take responsibility for my life, and live with the consequences of this. And it was not easy. For the past, I'd say, 8 years, it was constant learning to love myself, constant um, looking at my values, looking at my lack of self-esteem, self-worth, lack of trust. I started, I guess, from zero is the best way to say it, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to function in a normal relationship. I didn't understand how angry I was at the world and at myself for everything that had happened to me. So as I started to piece together everything with therapists and following spiritual leaders, I began to understand that I had to be in charge of me and be responsible for me. And it was the hardest thing to ever do. I never imagined it would be so difficult. And from all of that therapy and all of that self-help I did, I developed this passion for loving myself so profoundly that it started to affect everything I did. So um, as the minute I left that relationship with my business partner, I got reunited with my children, my oldest, in 2010.
Oh, wow.
And she was angry, to say the least, because the stories that came out, the most beautiful thing that happened was she let all her anger out in her responding email, and but she left this little tiny door open to say, but there's two sides to the story, and she wanted to hear my side.
That's good.
So I must have jumped 5 feet in the air. And I was so thrilled. I was beyond happy. Um, there were very key people. Like, I didn't do this all alone. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of key people in my life that said to me, Annette, all along they were giving me these pointers about, I had the strength within me to get through what I was going through. Um, there was relationships that had been long term that I terminated because I was allowing that to hold me back.
Yeah.
But I learned so much from every single relationship. I didn't see it then, but of course I can see it now.
Well, you
Uh,
take a little bit from each one, right?
yes, definitely. And I became so engrossed in what I was doing that I thought, oh, well, I'm all healed now after a couple years of therapy. And then, of course, life comes along and smacks you in the head and
Yeah,
says, no, this is a lifelong thing you have to manage.
it is. It's a life job.
Yes. So, uh, yeah, the key people in my life said to me, Annette, you have everything in you to be reunited with your children. And I thought it always had to be money. But one of my best friends, she said, no, it's love. And
Yeah.
I'm like, huh? Because I still hadn't learned to really love myself at that point. I was kind of like, well, I have to fix this problem and I have to fix this problem and I have to give everybody forgiveness.
Yeah.
And I went through a lot of 12-step programs too. Like, I explored every single one that was out there. But the best one that was for me was Al-Anon.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it was very, very helpful for me to put the spotlight on me instead of keep blaming everybody else.
Exactly. Well, that's a resolution of it's us, right? We need to fix us.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And so I guess maybe after my last codependent relationship, I kept trying to build a family.
Okay.
So, because of the loss of my children, right? So my last relationship was with a gentleman who had 4 children. And that really crashed and burned. That's when I think I hit the awakening button. That's when all of a sudden, when I was homeless, basically jobless, relationshipless, I just started to laugh at myself. I'm hanging out in the psych ward of RVH in Barrie, and I'm like laughing because I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I'm like, oh my God. It was like an awakening so profound, deeper even than that I had in 2010, because it was the turning point where I understood that I had to really feel the pain.
Yeah.
Like I kept walking away from that deep, deep, deep rooted pain that was there because I thought it was going to kill me.
Yeah.
And so I had to find an outlet out of that pain. And as I started to learn stuff about myself, my old memories, not only did I dredge up the bad stuff and get through it, I awoke all the good stuff, all the things I loved. The best thing that I ever did was go to a women's shelter because it gave me this window and opportunity to just focus on me with nothing else around me. No job, no boyfriend. It was just me, me, me. And from that experience in the shelter and working on myself, like the woman, the counselor literally said, well, what do you love? And I looked at her with a blank stare. I did not know what I loved.
Wow.
So I started to make lists and just sit with myself and reflect. And I discovered I loved plaid. And I discovered I loved, oh God, I could go on for a ton of lists, but there's so many things I love. It's actually, I have a board in my greenhouse that has a whole list of them that I post up in there. But as I started to use tools, and one of them was journaling, I felt that the journaling was helping, but something was missing. So I started coloring. And the adult coloring books that I found were really pretty. And I loved art. And then a memory came back to me about this project that I had done in, I think it was like grade 5 or 6 or something. It was all trees because I absolutely love trees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm a tree hugger. So here I am having this wonderful memory about getting an A+ on this tree project that I did, because what I did was trees of different materials.
Okay.
Right. So I had this memory and I'm like, oh, I really like art. Oh, maybe I should try doing some paintings. Maybe I should try doing some coloring. Maybe I should try this. Maybe I should try that. So I started coloring these adult coloring books, and I started showing my artwork to people. And people would say, oh, that's so pretty. Oh, I love that. Can I have a copy of that? And they were just so warm, and the feedback was giving me this inspiration. And I thought, wow, I really want to help people because that makes them feel good. And it makes me feel good. It's a very selfish thing. But I was like, wow, maybe I can put some, some positive message, personalized message on these t-shirts with my art. So I wrote because of my legal background, I wrote the publisher for these permission to publish their art, which I had colored, but nobody got back to me. And I thought, well, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, all of these pages on blank paper, I just put my pen there and it just exploded. Page after page after page came out of me of different doodles and designs. And then more ideas came. And then another best thing that ever happened to me. I have a lot of bests.
Bests are good.
Yeah. My boyfriend says to me, because I guess what I couldn't understand was I couldn't find any focus.
Okay.
So he says to me, Annette, you always start stuff and you never finish it. And I was livid. I swear I was so mad because I didn't understand the importance of that message. So I had already studied a lot about present moment awareness through Eckhart Tolle. So I understood, don't get angry at him. Don't take this out on him. Go inside in yourself and look at what that means to you. So I took about 2-3 days and I did that. And I didn't touch a single other thing I was doing. No more coloring. I put everything on hold. And then what happened was it came to me that why I started and stopped stuff and didn't finish it was because it's not what I wanted to be doing. Right?
Oh.
It wasn't that I didn't finish it. It's that I left it. And this wonderful thing that my boyfriend had said, which I had taken as a negative, I turned into a positive, and I'm like, damn it, I'm going to finish this coloring book if it kills me, you know? So now I have my published coloring book. I have my second one coming out very soon once I get the pages finally tweaked. I have several other projects in the fire I'm very excited about, cards and other stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I also love doing my human whispering services. That is an incredible, incredible experience. Listening to others who struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder or just depression and anxieties and things like that. And the feedback I get and the growth I see my clients go through when I listen to them, it's the most incredible feeling. It feels like I've won the lottery each time I see them grow.
Oh,
Because
that's
it's like
cool.
witnessing myself.
Yeah. Do you have a copy of the coloring book that people can see?
I do. I have both here. I'll show you the first published one. This is Love. Now let me try to get this right here. I'm going the wrong way. Okay. So this is Love, right?
Beautiful.
And the front covers I designed.
Okay.
Now, being a newbie to the whole coloring books theme, creating my own book, I had no idea what I was doing, but it was such a beautiful struggle to create it. I have in the first page, I have a welcoming, and then at the bottom, I have a dedication. I dedicate my book to somebody that specifically touched my life. I know
Okay.
this is a coloring book, but to me, it's not a coloring book. To me, these books represent a lifetime of love, kindness, and compassion that I've put into the pages to help others because it helped me. I'm going to cry.
That's okay. Crying is good, Miss Liz. I allow it. So it's passion, right? It comes from the heart.
I had no idea how profoundly this would change my life, right? And I get other people to get involved in the book. So in this book, on the back, these pictures up, this picture here, whoop, wrong way, and this picture down here were colored by my daughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So getting other people involved gives me because I love, I can't tell you how much I love receiving things from people. Giving and receiving to me is enormous.
Yeah.
And the other part of my book, I'll show you here at the back, has, it's so difficult doing this.
Oh, wow.
Exploratory. Okay, let me, wrong way. Okay, so it's got exploratory and techniques. See that?
Yes, I do.
So I write up here. I can read a little bit. It says,
okay, sure.
Within all of us is a divine creator. Artwork is a self-expression from the heart. Our beliefs, feelings, and desires come out when we draw. I discovered art to be one of the best forms of self-care anyone can do. I've enclosed 5 additional partially drawn pages for you to experiment with. These pages were inspired by my years of exploration with my doodles and drawings. I took great pride and joy exploring what was inside me wanting to come out. Hence why I've included these for your inner artist to play with. And then I make a section about suggestions how to doodle and draw and techniques. And one of the things one friend told me was really important, and the best advice, I'll just read this one part because I think it's so special. An interesting technique and the best advice I ever got from a friend was don't worry about mistakes. Mistakes can be turned into some of the most lovely creations ever. We are human, so it makes sense they do.
I like that.
Yeah. I turned
Mistakes are good.
Yes. I turned all of my mistakes into lessons. And there's a beautiful song by Barbara Streisand that's called Lessons Learned.
Oh.
And I actually love her to pieces. She was one of my inspirations growing up as a kid.
We'll have to get you to share that in the link in the comments there so people
Sure.
can check out that song as well.
Sure.
So could you tell me a little bit more about the human whisperer?
Sure. Basically, a little while back, 2 years ago, a good friend of mine said, you need a space of your own so that you can just get out of the house from the guys and out of the basement and just be in your own space.
Okay.
And there's this greenhouse on the property that they were using just as a junkyard, right?
Oh.
So I said to my dad, can I clean this out and use it? He says, sure, nobody's using it. So I did. There's actual videos of me on my page of Learn to Love Myself where I have a mask on and I'm cleaning because I wanted to include people in my project. So once I got it all cleaned out, then I started to do some artwork and I've decorated it with art. And as I was sitting out there, I started to reflect on how I love to visit people and how I love to just sit and listen to them. And of course, when that happened, they would share their traumas, their anxieties, their depression with me, and I would just listen. Now, in the beginning, it wasn't quite so clear. I'd give feedback, and I'd try to tell them what to do because that was my ego. But as I grew and loved myself more and more, and I loved people more and more, and the more I healed, and the more I managed my PTSD, the listening skill became very deep. So I used the coloring book as a tool to get people to sit and just color and talk, and I would listen. And sometimes I would color too. And so the human whispering became a very therapeutic thing for people that need and are on this path and are ready to start hearing themselves. Because when you sit and you just listen to somebody, they start to get it, because that's what I used to do when I was in therapy. As I got talking and talking, it just seemed to click. Things started to click. And when people started giving me this feedback, I'm like, well, how do I combine my passion for art with the listening, my passion for listening? So I thought, what a better way than to get out and talk about my coloring book at different locations and tell people how I conduct human whispering, because it's very uncommon. People don't know of this practice, and I have to always explain it, but they think of a horse whisperer or a dog whisperer, right?
Well, that's what I thought it was, so that's why I wanted to know a little bit more about it, because I've never heard of it. I've heard of the horse whisperer or, dog whisperer, but I've never heard of the human whisperer. So
yeah, it's like a profound, deep connection with others, right? So here's the complete definition. It's in my book, right? Because what I do when I explain myself, it says, I am a human whisperer and a warrior who dances to her own tune. So then I put a little asterisk and it says at the bottom, human whisperer. Excuse me. Small print. A person who uses a technique in which they hold the space. That means that they listen to someone by being totally present. It means giving their heart, love, and full attention to the other person. So I kind of abbreviate it by saying, I sit and I listen to you lovingly, non-judgmentally, totally present for you.
Wow.
Now,
That's
what's
amazing.
developed from that, thank you. What's developed from that is people who are ready to start healing their traumas, they want to know how I did it. So it sort of piggybacks from the human whispering, where I'm just listening.
Yeah.
Eventually, they want to know how to get where I am. So I never tell them what to do. I say, I did this, I did that. I went here, I read this book. So it's developed into almost like a life coaching, but not a life coaching.
Okay.
It's more of a spiritual journey together.
Okay. No, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when I read your bio, I was like, I wonder what that's about. Like,
It's amazing. And I also do inspirational speaking and motivational speaking. And it's always about the themes of love, kindness, and compassion.
So you're a strong advocate for love, kindness, and compassion.
Absolutely. Everywhere I go, I'll give you a very recent scenario, and I'll show you my next book with this scenario.
Yeah, because I haven't seen book 2 yet.
Yeah. I was at Tim Hortons, and I had just ordered my coffee, and this gentleman came in behind me. Well, I was waiting for my sandwich. This woman, she was beaming when she saw this older gentleman. He must have been in his 80s, I guess. And she's like, William, is that you, William? Oh, it's so good to see you. And she was so sweet to him. Then the next thing you know, I get my stuff and I go to my table and I hear her still talking to him. She goes, now the weather's nasty out there. Do you need somebody to help you back to your car? I can get somebody to help you back to your car. And I literally just like, this woman deserves one of my coloring books.
Oh, wow.
So I finish my meal and I walk up to her and I show her my book and I said, this is for you. And she says, what? And I'm like, you did the kindest thing. I didn't even tell her what she did. I said, you were so kind. I want to give you this book because I'm promoting love, kindness, and compassion. And you promote love, kindness, and compassion by what you do. And she goes, oh, yeah, I'm all about that. And I'm like, okay. And I said, I want you to enjoy this book. So I gave it to her.
Awesome.
And I start crying and she starts crying and it just made my day. I float on cloud 9 when I do these kind of things. It makes me feel so good.
Well, when you're actually doing kindness from the heart, you don't even realize that you're doing it.
No.
A lot of people will say, like, how could you do that? Like, how did you do that? Like, I wasn't thinking about it. I just went. Like, there was one time a lady at Walmart, her shoelace was untied, and I was following her around the store. And finally, I told my boyfriend, I said, like, I need to tie her shoe. Like, she's going to fall. So I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, ma'am, can I tie your shoe for you? And she's like, oh. And I was like, yeah, your shoe's been untied and it's been bugging me. So can I tie your shoe for you? And she hadn't even noticed. And she was in her 80s or something. And I was like, I don't want her to fall. I don't want her to hurt herself. So,
yeah.
But it wasn't the thought of thinking, I was concerned about her falling. So it's like you said, like the lady who helped the guy to his car, we don't think of it. We just do it. When it comes from the heart, we don't even realize we're doing it. We just do it. Right. So,
yes. So I love hearing that.
Yeah. So do you have book 2?
I do. Okay. This is kindness. Now it's got the author's proof thing across because this is just one that I got to approve. This one I did a coloring contest for the front cover.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I had people enter the contest. I had different designs of the front page. It was a similar design, but it was different doodles inside of it. And what I wanted the message to get across was that, you know, here we are struggling with all these issues. The teardrop hearts that's raining is a
Mm-hmm.
symbol of the traumas in our life, the problems in our life that we're focused on,
Okay.
when we need to care now about ourselves, about the planet, about the trees, about everything that we focus on in life, right? So
Yeah.
kindness has a whole set of different drawings and sayings.
Oh,
And what I
cool.
didn't mention in my previous book was that each of the enlightened life messages that are in here, they're not quotes from anybody. What they are my feelings and stories that I've had in life. Like I will
Okay.
now take that story about the lady from Tim Hortons and put it in one of my drawings.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Right. So people can see that there's really a lot of kindness out there. We're just not
Yeah,
watching for it.
exactly. We don't look for it because
No.
there's not enough kindness in the world, and we need to change that, right? We need to
Yeah.
stop being so selfish and just be kind. So,
Yeah.
and I love that about your message, like the love, kindness, and compassion in your books, because that's what the world needs, right? In order for us all to work together, we need those three things, right? We need to love ourselves, we need to be kind, and we need to have compassion for others. So it's a connection, right? It's like the love and kindness works together for the compassion. So it's building blocks, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
so because we're on tea time, and I do this with all of my guests, is there any favorite memory you have of tea, or when was the first cup of tea you had?
Well, I think it would be when I had my first cup of chamomile tea. And
Okay.
it was made by my mother-in-law, and I had no idea what this tea was. Again, I'm talking about when I was like 14, 15. Never introduced me to either coffee or tea, so I got introduced to it when I was in the relationship with my ex-husband. And when my mother-in-law prepared this tea, and I thought it was the worst tea ever. And but she said, "Drink it." She was very forceful. It was
Oh,
it wasn't, well, because of the language barrier too. She only spoke Spanish and French. She didn't speak English. So there was a language barrier there, and she would get frustrated with me. And
oh,
plus I
okay.
was Canadian. I wasn't of her culture. So there was a little bit of friction there. But that tea sticks out in my mind because she was doing it because she knew it would be good for me, right? And
Okay.
I didn't recognize that then, but now I can look back and think about people that I believe were harming me were actually trying to help me. And so that's a nice memory.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite tea now that you like to drink, or do you like hot or cold teas?
I'm actually more of a coffee drinker, but I
Okay.
prefer um, a colder tea. I like having a lemon tea.
Okay.
So if I'm having tea, usually has a lemon theme to it or chamomile.
So you do drink the chamomile.
Yes, it grew on me.
It
It
grew on
grew
you.
on me.
It
And
was a
then,
good lesson, right?
yeah, yeah, it was. So, and yeah, I prepare tea when I have my human whispering sessions too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So do you prepare like different blends of tea, different flavors, or?
yes. I love to drink chai,
Okay.
and I usually have in the house chai, peppermint, um, those antioxidant ones that are like tropical flavors.
Okay, like the
Uh,
pomegranate and mango
yeah,
and okay.
and I'll also drink sometimes changa tea. Do you know what that is?
No.
That's the bark, or not the bark, the mushroom, changa mushroom from a birch tree.
Oh, I'll have to try that.
Oh, I love it. It's awesome.
So is that like a strong dark tea, or is that like a lighter tea?
No, it's sort of like a chai with a orange pico. It tastes sort of like that.
Oh.
I love it. It's great.
Oh my goodness, I'll have to try that.
Hmm. Do you
Yeah,
buy
cause
it in any health store?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to send
And
me
it has
that so I
great
can.
properties for it. Like health-wise, it's great for you.
Oh, I'm always about that and learning about different teas and that.
Yeah. I'll
So
send you the information.
yeah, for sure. So what I'll get you to do is I'll get you to share where they can get these amazing coloring books because I believe they're
Okay.
on Amazon, right?
Yes. You can get them on Amazon.ca, Amazon.com.
Okay.
If you're too close to my area and you want to save the shipping, I'm more than happy to meet with you and have uh, a coffee date, tea date, kind of thing, and I'll bring the book, chat with you.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
you're located in the Barrie area, right?
Yeah, I am 30 minutes outside of Barrie, but I'm in
Okay.
Barrie every other day pretty much.
Okay. And you also have something going on Facebook that you've invited me to. It's Date with Friends, I believe.
Yes, I just started that this month actually. Date with Friends was to get I'm so blessed that I have so many friends now from having no friends to having lots of friends. And it's so difficult to get around to seeing your friends. So I thought, what a better way than once a month invite everybody I know to come to coffee or tea with me, and we just chill out and hang out and do fun things, talk about what we're up to, and I get a variety of people come, right? So it's if 10 say they're going to show up, maybe only 5 do, and that makes for a nice intimate, and then you make new friends,
Yeah.
right? And you exchange ideas and we get caught up with one another. Like the one friend showed up, I hadn't seen her in 2 years. So it's because we're so busy and we got so many other things on our plate and we have families. So I thought, what a better way to do something geared towards where I can see my friends from time to time. Because I
Yeah,
can't,
for
some of them
sure.
are far away. Some are in Kitchener, Oshawa. Uh, well, some have moved out of the province. I don't expect them to show up, but I wish they would.
Well, you never know, right? You put the
Yeah,
invitation out there, they might just surprise you and show up and have tea time.
exactly. Like for me, once you're a friend, you're always a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So, so is there anything else you would like to share today, Annette, with everybody?
oh my goodness. I would say you are not your traumas. You know, having, I don't have PTSD. I used to go around and tell myself I always have mental illness.
Okay.
And then I stopped saying mental illness because it, when you have a cold that you're ill, right?
Yep.
Okay, but it comes and it's gone.
Yep.
Okay. Mental health it's, I think we're years and years away from truly understanding the depth of how important it is that our mind, body, and soul work together.
Yeah.
We're getting there. So saying that you're not your traumas is like to say it's a very delicate area to talk about, because for me, when I understood that I had mental illness, I knew I had to help myself heal it. Now,
Yeah.
there are some mental illnesses you cannot heal. Like my brother is schizophrenic. That's not healable. It's manageable.
Yep.
Um, Now that I'm on the other end of understanding that I have triggers, which are getting less and less and less as I manage with my self-awareness, self-love, all the things I practice, my meditations, my yoga, all of those encompass knowing that it's possible to have mental illness again. So
Yeah.
what I do is recognize when it's coming on. It's almost like recognizing you're getting a cold,
Yep.
right? So no, managing day to day, it's a daily thing. I manage when I recognize something that triggers my trauma, like anything to do with sexual abuse will trigger me. Anything to do with touch me without asking me can trigger me. So I know how to manage that now.
So you know your triggers.
Yes.
Yeah, and
And
that's important to know the triggers, right?
oh yeah, most definitely. And then I reach for my coloring books and I start creating, because it's my key. I reach for music. I hug a tree. I go talk to somebody. Manage, manage, manage. When you have
Yeah.
a mental illness or a trigger or your trauma, whatever you want to call it, come on, and you know it now because you have to learn it,
Yeah.
then it's up to you to then manage it and get help,
Yeah.
right? But like I said, it's not easy to say this and somebody go, well, you can talk like that, and you're already all right. But there are days I'm not all right. There are days when I don't want to get out of bed still.
Yeah.
So um it's it's really, really hard to talk about. Mental illness is really, really difficult to talk about because it has so much stigma. It has so much pain, and people haven't got to the point, humanity hasn't got to the point that, well, like a lot of people, you'll see posts all over Facebook and stuff. If you break your arm, you go to the hospital and you get it
Yeah.
fixed, right? But mental illness is not that easy,
No, it
right?
isn't.
No, it's not, because
And a lot of people look at you if you're well dressed, like today, right? We both look good, but we both live with mental health, right?
yes,
But as long as we don't own mental health, it doesn't
yes,
define us, right? We are who we are. You're Annette, I'm Liz. Yes, we live with mental health, but we're not owning it. We're not. It's like that cold. We're not taking that cold and saying, you know what, I got a cold.
yes,
You can see I have a cold. You see me sneezing. You see me coughing. But with mental health, you don't see that. You don't see the breakup and all that, because we're so programmed to turn it into a smile. Come on, put a happy face on it. Ain't that bad? Like, but they don't see the inside, right?
no,
So
no,
it's like you
I,
said, right? You have hard days still. So
yeah. And I describe, I think mental illness is more easier to relate with now, since I went through a bout of my whole body hurting over something. I now can, it taught me the compassion of what people with fibromyalgia suffer with, all those silent diseases. You could almost put mental health and them side by side, because
yeah,
it's something you can't see. If you got cancer and you tell somebody, they believe you.
yep,
But if you have a mental health issue or fibromyalgia or another silent disease or illness, people kind of, they doubt you for some reason.
well, they look at you and they say, well, you can't have that. Come on, like, you know.
Yeah, you seem happy. You've got a job, you've got kids, you manage your life.
Yeah,
It's very difficult, and I think that's where more compassion comes in. If we
yeah,
had more compassion, we would not have so many people having so much struggles with all of these illnesses and diseases. I love
yeah,
the best thing that I learned from Louise Hay was it's a dis-ease, right? It's not disease. It's
yep,
you're not at ease,
yep.
right?
And that's a powerful message right there. You
Yeah.
know, my biggest thing with my platform of Miss Liz's Tea Times are to bring awareness to mental health and abuse and grief. Uh, Three things that I live with, right?
Yes.
And by having guests like you on my show, it opens that door that us sharing is healing. You know, we are
Yeah.
changing. And that's what we need to do. We need to start talking about it so people understand that mental health doesn't have a picture. There is no pretty picture. It
No.
is us. What you see is mental health, but we don't own it. We own who we are. We just
Yes.
live with it, right?
Yes.
So
Exactly.
by opening up and sharing with others, we're going to break that stigma and we're going to make a change. You know, we're going to make a new
Yeah.
pattern. So when people say, oh, well, I live with depression. Oh, well, I do too. You know, let's start, you know, it's like an addiction, right? If you're an addict
Yes.
and you say, I have an addiction, and the other one says, well, me too. But with mental health, you don't hear that. You don't hear me too, you
Yeah,
know,
maybe we need to do a hashtag me too for that.
for mental health. Yeah.
But it's
And
already taken.
exactly. Yeah. But a lot of people won't admit to it, right? It's like they're scared of that judgment. They're scared of that stigma, right? No, not me. Our family doesn't live with that. You know what? One in 4 people live with mental health. I believe it's 1 in 2, but they say 1 in 4, you know? And like when they do the
has such varying degrees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Some depression. I remember when I was in my deepest depression, I was in bed for weeks and crying every day. Now that's a deep depression.
Yeah.
There are people that have even deeper depression where they're in bed for a year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm grateful that I never suffered that bad.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it takes a lot of love. That's why I'm so passionate about my love, kindness, compassion movement with my coloring books, is because it takes so much of that to help those people. And some of them never, the sad part is some of them never recover. I mean, I cried and cried when Robin Williams died. Yeah. Because I admired that man. I had no clue he had mental health issues.
Well, he was so funny, right?
Yeah.
Nobody ever expected him, of all people, to have it. I'm like you, like when he passed, I cried. When Princess Diana died, I cried. Because people did not see the inside. Yeah. They seen the outside and they thought, oh my God, they have it all good together, you know, but nobody really realizes what people are going through, you know, in their own lives. We mask ourselves so much because that's what we're programmed to do, right? And we need to change that program. We need to just be comfortable in ourselves and say, you know what, I love me for me. And I think I'm pretty incredible. Like, you know, it starts and doing strong affirmations of myself, you know, like I believe in me. I am, I will, I must, you know, positive affirmations and firm affirmations, you know.
Can you see that?
I can see a little bit.
You might not be able to see it.
A little star.
Yeah, you can't see it because of the reflection, but it says, believe in yourself. A girlfriend of mine gave me that for a birthday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I believe that's how we're going to make a change, right? We need to change the thought process, you know?
Yeah, you are not your thoughts.
Exactly. Take those not in negative and turn them into a positive, like we have, you know, and like you have with your coloring, like the struggles you went through, you put it into a beautiful masterpiece, you know? So with that, I'm going to say that I think we've covered everything. And I'm going to get you to put in the comments how they can get your amazing coloring books, how they can reach you for the Human Whisper. If they have any questions or anything, I do know that you have your Date with Friends, so, and a few other Facebook pages. Love Yourself, I believe, is one of your Facebook pages, right?
Learn to Love Myself.
Learn to Love Myself. If you could put all of that information in the comments, so all of the viewers that are watching, and if anybody's watching the recap, they can reach out and get a hold of you. Okay. And if you'd like to come back anytime for tea time, my door is open anytime. I'd like to see when the new book comes out. So.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm sure cards. Exactly. Like all the magical stuff that you have coming up, and maybe your artwork, and that maybe we can see that in another tea time. So.
Sure, I'll take. How about we'll have it when the weather's warmer? We can do one in
the greenhouse.
In the greenhouse.
There we go.
Yeah. And it has to be light out too, because there's no lighting in there.
Yeah.
So this is the link on Amazon. It takes you right to the coloring book.
Okay.
My Facebook pages are Learn to Love Myself and mental. This is what I tell people when I'm not well. I said, I have to take a mental health break.
I think we all do.
Oh, God, yeah.
So as Annette is putting all of that into the comments, if anybody who has watched tonight or would like to share this with a friend, tonight was a very empowering tea time. We talked about mental health. We talked about coloring. We talked about Human Whisper. There's a lot of incredible things that were discussed over this tea time tonight. And if you know anybody who is out there who has mental health or is creating and making a difference in the world, anywhere in the world, I'd love to have them on my tea time. My biggest thing is to bring awareness And the only way we can bring awareness is by speaking and sharing. So if anybody would like to reach out, you can reach me at Miss Liz's Tea Time, Miss Liz's Tea Parties, and Miss Liz's Tea Parties Making a Difference. Or you can check out my website at www.misslizsteaparties. I do host tea parties as well, and I do have a lot of incredible surprises coming up. I will have Annette back because I do want to see more of her incredible stuff. So with all of that, I'm going to wish you guys all an amazing night. And I do have some tea times coming up. They're not confirmed dates yet, so I won't say much on that. But I do have some really incredible guests coming up from all over, from Pakistan to Alberta to Ontario, all over the place. They're reaching out and they're coming on Miss Liz's Tea Time. So Annette, thank you again so much for tonight. And
thank you, Liz.
It was an honor having you. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for tea time.
Thank you again. Have a good night.